The Miami Heat have just become the 6th team in NBA history to upset the #1 seed in the first round. They'll join fellow 8th seed legends like the We Believe Warriors toppling Dirk or the 2011 Grizzlies suffocating the Spurs flame. We're going to get into just exactly how the Heat managed to do this against the #1 Bucks. But honestly, it feels like most of this has to do with one individual, Jimmy Butler. The 33-year-old forward is in his 4th season with the Miami Heat, a match made in heaven. Butler's extreme competitiveness and work ethic fit perfectly within the Heat culture their fans always talk about. Clearly, that intensity was not as welcome in places like Minnesota, but we do not need to get into that saga again. Even Philly didn't seem to be a natural fit. Jimmy was brought in for his phenomenal ability to close out games and seemed to get along with Embiid well enough. But you can envision where the personalities probably clashed. Yeah.
Oh, no, he didn't. Ben Simmons is out here just putting on a clinic.
Anyways, Jimmy Bucket had somewhat of a quiet regular season this year. He put up solid numbers of 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, but he got no All-Star recognition and managed to eclipse the 60 games played mark for the first time since the 2018-2019 season. That, alongside a struggling Miami Heat, and people seemed ready to write them off again as a good but not really great team. It's been only 3 years since the Heat were in the finals and a single season since they finished at the top of the Eastern Conference. But this year, the team seemed anything but white hot. For starters, the Kyle Lowry trade has seemed to be entering into a stage of obscurity. Lowry's 36 now and showing a lot of signs of slowing down. He averaged 11 points, 5 assists, and had his worst field goal percentage in a decade. He's also been a perennial starter, but started transitioning to the bench for the first time in a decade as well. Kyle was supposed to be that offensive maestro that allowed Butler and Hero to play more of their natural off-ball style. But instead, we're in the playoffs, and he's coming in as a 7th man. Overall, the Heat during this regular season presented themselves as a team asleep at the wheel. We've seen this car drive fast and win races, but after 82 games, I was ready to unbuckle and walk away at a gas station. They didn't even look that great in the play-in. They lost to a mess of a franchise that is Atlanta in the first game and only beat the under 500 Bulls by 11 points. But now, here we are, and we're all stuck here eating our past words, because the Miami Heat woke up, realized they were in the playoffs, and then slammed on the gas. The Milwaukee Bucks had their fair share of problems in this series, aka Giannis is injured. When the Greek Freak is out completely or even not 100%, we can see where the team begins to struggle. They've got great defenders with people like Drew Holiday and Brook Lopez, but without Giannis, Lopez has been looking overwhelmed having this much on his plate in the paint. And Drew can only do so much on the perimeter when Jimmy Butler is dropping scoring outbursts that put him in the top 5 for most points in a playoff game in NBA history. Yeah, you heard that right. Butler's 56 points in Game 4 tied him for 4th all-time with the likes of Wilt Chamberlain, Charles Barkley, and MJ's 2nd game in the top 5 of the list. That's tough company for Drew to try and stop. But you've got to be fair to the Heat as well. Giannis was at least back in Games 4 and 5. 100%, maybe not, but he was back. Tyler Hero suffered a hand injury in the first game of the series and had to undergo surgery to get it fixed. So the Heat had been out of their #2 scorer for basically the entire series. But they had guys step up, like Bam Adebayo, Gabe Vincent, and the forgotten man, Duncan Robinson. This South Beach team is ridiculously deep. They lost last year's 6th man of the year and responded with, oh, you know what? Let's bring in one of the key pieces that got us to the finals in 2020. And Robinson does have his faults as a player, but the dude is a flamethrower from 3 when he's hot. Hero is estimated to be out for 6 weeks. This translates to being out of the playoffs unless the Heat make it to the finals, which I won't go as far as proclaiming that that will happen, but if Jimmy Butler can keep serving up these types of performances, well, anything could happen. And let's just play pretend here. As we flash forward to the Heat's future, how does that road to the finals look? In the second round, they're going to find a surging New York Knicks, a super fun and exciting team all season, looking to keep their momentum going. The Heat have not been super fun and exciting until right now, but I think that means they're going to find a way to bring that Knicks team down to reality. The trio of Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and RJ Barrett are going to need to outwit and outlast the team that just never seems to fully die. To grind against that Heat and Butler culture that's been brewing for years, it's going to need to be a strong cup of coffee, no matter how you take it. And it's really going to come down to the surrounding pieces around Jimmy on how far this 8th seed can go. Bam Adebayo has looked good plenty of times in this Bucks series. He's been active on the boards and as a post playmaker, having games with 5 and 7 assists. But he's going to need to get back on track with his field goal percentage and stay aggressive in scoring. He's been having a decline in field goal accuracy basically every game so far. He just doesn't have that ebb and flow of being the third option for buckets anymore. More often than not, either Butler or Hero could get hot and look to carry. But with Hero out, this is Adebayo's opportunity to prove he can rise to the occasion. Shooters like Vincent, Robinson, and Kevin Love are great, but they likely won't lead you far. And I threw K-Love in there because, honestly, I forget that he's down in Miami sometimes. In Game 1, he had 18 points, but otherwise, he's only been the occasional floor stretcher. The ironic side of the Love situation is he probably would have been quite a bit more useful back on the Cavs right now. They basically only had Allen and Mobley as their big men, and when one of them ended up in foul trouble against the Knicks, throwing out another center would have been pretty nice. After the second round, which I definitely think they could get through after already knocking down a team like Milwaukee, they'll see either the Celtics or 76ers. The clear favorite between these two is Boston. So let's say that they make it to the conference finals. The Heat versus the C's. It's a matchup we've seen plenty of times over the years. It would be their toughest challenge yet, trying to contain both Tatum and Brown. If Miami were to pull it off, though, it would have to come down to team defense and the magic of Jimmy Buckets. And basically, that's all I really wanted to come out here and say. Jimmy Butler is a superstar, and we can never forget that. It can be easy sometimes during the regular season to write someone off, or even a full team. But there is a difference between regular and postseason play. It's why a lot of fans don't even turn their TV on until the first-round matchups start. The Miami Heat proved that against Milwaukee. The Bucks were without question regarded as the better team. Nobody would have picked the Heat to win. They've got more talented top players and have seen a championship trophy. But Miami refused to go away. They had the depth, a superstar, and most importantly, a mindset that they were not just some regular 8th seed. It's a similar scenario to what we see out in the West right now. LeBron and the Lakers are about to topple the 2nd seed as the 7th. These are wild times in the NBA right now. Parity demonstrated at its finest. We're just keeping our fingers crossed for a finals rematch between the Lakers and the Heat. There is a scenario where this happens. Don't say I didn't warn you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.